Really want to try something different today. If you're familiar with my channel, you know I almost exclusively stick to realism and people. But I'm trying to fill my house with my artwork. And in my living room, I don't know that I want, somebody's fish just. So this is a perfect time for me to play around with abstract art. And I have no idea how this will turn out. In fact, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm scared. But let's go. Hey people, it's Temi. If you're new here, we're gonna go straight to it. This is what my living room looks like. I did an empty house tour on my second channel, but I've just got this simple cream curtains, very neutral, very plain. That's what I like in my home, just neutral, calm vibes. I've also got hints of gold. I think the first thing I need to do is to find a canvas. So I want something big enough that kind of, fills the space. I want something that demands respect. Maybe even the width of the sofa, if I'm gonna be honest. I just want something really big. And I never normally work on canvases, and especially not massive large canvases, so that's gonna be another challenge. So the first thing I'm going to do is to measure the space to get a basic idea of the size I can work with. And I'm popping into Hobbycraft, and guys, I love art stores so much. I buy a lot of my art stuff online, but there's nothing like just popping into a shop. And of course I'm getting distracted by all of these different art supplies I can see. Like, look at this Crayola section. This is low-key my dream section. Pastel Crayola super tips. Anyway, walking through this store is just giving me so many video ideas, this emoji, and I'm super excited. But back to what I came here for. Here is the acrylic paint section. I'm just looking at some acrylic mediums and texture paste, and finally to the canvas section. The reason why we entered the shop in the first place. So I'm gonna show you what I've picked up from Hobbycraft. I don't have the muzzle. So first, I don't know if you can quite get the scale of this, but it is incredibly massive. I also got a couple other canvases that I'll put in other places around my home. Let me know if you want to see future videos on those. I also got this texture paste. I'm not sure what direction I want to go with this abstract art. So if I choose to do something that's much more textured and then neutral in color versus something that has, more contrast or more colors, I don't know. I've got that. I also got this cream colored paint. I've bought this brand before, Senelli, I don't know how you say it. But it's a really good acrylic brand, and I really like that it's in these sachets so it doesn't take up too much space for storage. I'm gonna find my other acrylic paints as well in a bit, but I think this is the cream kind of color that I want. And lastly, I bought this big brush. I definitely don't have a regular paintbrush that's like a big size, and I think this will help me, really do something. Now I'm going to attempt to find my other acrylic paints. I've got them all in this small drawer. If you're familiar with my channel, you know I'm not much of a painter, so these are just old paints I've had for many years. Love this gold one. Also grabbing a black, because again, I still don't know what direction I'm going in. And I've found these other two paintbrushes. And here are all the supplies. I'll link everything I can down in the description box. First, I've got titanium white, processed black, flesh ochre, another titanium white, copper, iridescent gold, and texture paste. I've got a selection of brushes. I've also got these palette knife things and these sponges. Again, I don't know what vibe I'm going for yet, so might as well gather everything. So first thing I'm going to do is small research, because if you know anything about me and my channel, I need some inspiration. I can't just conjure things up in my mind. So I'm using Pinterest to try to get some ideas flowing. Because I'm going for a neutral vibe, I do like a lot of these paintings, but I have to bear in mind that mine is going to be a lot simpler with the colors. I took a picture of my living room from this corner because I also want to implement some of the black you can see in that console table. The painting is meant to go on this wall, and I've just inserted some paintings that I like the vibe of, just trying to see what I can go off. Some of them aren't abstract enough for me, but again, I just don't even know what can match the vibe at all. Realistically, I just want something cream, white to black, and maybe hints of gold. So this one is what's catching my attention. I like that it's bringing the black and then the gold separator and then white and cream at the bottom. It's really fitting my current vibe, so I think it's gonna be a good starting point. I mean, I don't know what makes a good canvas, but this looks really well and strongly constructed. I'm not mad at this. Okay, so here is the full canvas. I'm thinking of having like the top left-ish with the black and then gold and then the creams. But for texture, I really want more of the creams and then the gold to have the texture and then the black to be completely matte. Not matte, but like flat. So I'm just gonna, I don't know how you use this thing, to be honest. I've got a plastic fork. At this stage of the process, no technique whatsoever, just vibes. I'm trying to create like a separator for the black and the cream bits, and I do want texture. I think texture just makes abstract art pieces more interesting. So I'm using the fork and I'm doing this kind of flicky motion just to have a raised bit. And then at the bottom, I want small texture as well, but not as crazy as the middle section. In real life, I want you to not even properly clock this texture until you feel it and it's like, ooh, that was unexpected. That's the kind of vibe I'm going for. And now that I'm all textured out, here is a close-up of what it's looking. I'm going to leave it to dry for a bit and then we can get to the painting. The last clip you saw was from April, and in May I took an unprovoked mental health break. You might have seen the community post I made. But I'm coming back to this thing and let's take a look at the canvas. I don't know how much you can see on camera, but I really hate it. I really hate it. I don't know what was going through my head. I really don't know what's going through my head. I just hate everything about it. You know how sometimes something can really match your vision at the time and then you look back and you're like, what was I thinking? That's how I feel about that's how I feel about this right now. Part of me really wanted to inject dark colors into the piece, you know, bring in the darks that I've got in my living room, but I'm just not feeling anything, honestly, and I feel like I need to start from scratch. Obviously, I've started adding texture to this already, so I don't know if I can sand things off or maybe build up on. So yeah, sounds like back to the drawing board.
Many months later.
We are now in August, and honestly, it's more than embarrassing at this point. But anyway, I was minding my business in the supermarket and I found this easel and it just injected the passion back, because if I'm looking at an easel and the canvas is on the easel, then I'll feel more motivation to work, right? I don't know. But anyway, let's set up the easel. When I tell you setting up this easel was not easy, this three-legged machine nearly got the better of me. I'm even embarrassed to call myself an engineer with the way I was fighting this machinery. So I finally got it together in the end, albeit wonky, but isn't she looking cute? Now it's time to try to fix this base. So I've got some sandpaper, most grittiest, what do you call that? The roughest one I've got, which is the 120. And I'm just trying to see if I can even out the surface. Doing this with just my hands is not really working, so I'm wrapping it around this Crayola box to see if that would help to make it like a sanding block. And honestly, guys, I was here for time. Do you see a difference? Because I can't feel a difference. I'm sanding like my name is Sandy, and we're still here, as rough as ever. Anyway, at this point, I'm giving up. Maybe in the future I can use my actual electric sander, but for today I'm just going to try to add more texture to cover all of this up. If I can get a top layer that's a little smoother, maybe that would help. I don't know, guys. And realistically, what's peak about this entire process is that because I've already got texture on here, I can't work retrospectively and paint and then remove the texture after. I have to get this base looking okay. I have to be somewhat happy with it before I can move on. But I'm going for like some swirly kind of patterns, and because so many months have passed since I first started this and I'm so indecisive, I hate the fork thing I did. I hate everything about it. In fact, if I could start this whole thing over, I would. But at this point, we're just firefighting, trying to get something together so that I can finish this abstract art attempt. And here is what the texture is looking like now. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not mad at this. I like the flowy kind of brush strokes that I can see. I think I prefer more of this flowy vibe than the rough that we were doing before. This is the only palette I can find. This palette is from school when I used to use flesh tone paint. The paint was dried on more than 10 years ago. As I'm here suffering with this, I'm just here to tell you that you don't have to as well. I made a shorts of me scraping this palette, and so many of you said you can soak it in water, you can soak it in acetone, so you don't have to die on the line like I am. But here's small ASMR for you guys that like it. And this is the cleanest I can get this palette. Guys, I really tried because, not gonna lie, I was gonna use that as another procrastination tool. So now I'm putting the canvas on the easel, and how good does it look? Like, I look like a proper artist, no? Love my paint water cup. I'm just going to get that ready while I mix up my paint. The two main colors I'm using are the Flesh Ochre and Titanium White. Please ask me why I put so much of that cream color on the palette. It literally does not make sense. I find that anytime I'm using acrylics, which isn't very often at all, I tend to go for like a dry brush kind of technique. I barely add any water. I really only just use the water to rinse my brush when I'm done with the brush. So I'm just going straight into the paints, applying a bit of white, mixing small cream. And honestly, at this point, I don't have any technique. There's zero technique because I don't even know or understand what I want. So it's, what am I doing? I don't know. I say this every time I paint on my channel, but I feel like painting is just such a therapeutic sport compared to like color pencils where you can really be fighting with the paper sometimes. Painting is just so chill and amazing. I love it. And now it's time for small gold. Look at this paintbrush I found. Is it not giving makeup brush? I just love it, so fluffy. So I'm going to use that to apply the gold paint. Again, no technique, just pure vibes. I just realized, is this for my thumb or something? Wait. Okay, I don't know. I'm doing the same kind of dry brushing technique, and I'm just trying to apply the gold onto the middle, mostly textured part. And I just love how, because of the iridescent nature of the paint, it's just shining. And look at this rubbish brush. Why am I picking off hair off the canvas? But I just love the shine. And so I'm inspired to add some gold to the top. Again, trying to go with this flowy kind of pattern, but I hate it. So then I'm covering it with the white.
The next day.
So I left this canvas overnight, and when I came back the next day, upon reflection, I don't like how gappy it is. I want the gold to really fill in some of these ridges. So I'm taking the palette knife and I'm using that to apply the rest of this paint. The palette knife really allows me to apply thick blobs, almost like you're buttering bread. And it's just fantastic because it fills in those ridges perfectly. Like, how satisfying does this look? Anyway, chat, this is how my abstract art painting attempt came out, and I really love this gold. I think the gold is just what makes this piece for me. I don't think I'm going to use this in my living room anymore. To be honest, this matches the vibe of my bedroom a lot more. Shout out to my patrons. If you want to join the community, I'll leave a link down below. But if you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you love this one where I'm trying oil paints with only 3 colors.